Okay, so I decided I'm gonna post another knife video before the year's over. And this is going to be a video on one of my favorite patterns, and that's the Daddy Barlow or Granddaddy Barlow. It's these 5-inch long Barlow knives. And where I got started right here, it was with this Rough Rider Ram's Horn Bone Big Daddy Barlow. It's got this blade. These are made out of 440A steel. Nothing amazing about them, really. It's got this reversed frost etch on it, which is kind of interesting. Um, the covers look all right. They're not anything amazing or anything. The fit and finish on this knife isn't horrible. It must have had some blade play at some point because I hit the pivot with a hammer to get rid of blade play. So I guess it must have had some blade play at some point. But this is what got me started on the Daddy Barlow hunt. I carried this for a few nights and I was pretty much like, wow, I really like that. So then I started looking for higher quality Daddy Barlow or Granddaddy Barlow. And that's when I bought this. This is a Case Select Daddy Barlow, which I guess means it's supposed to be fancier or collectible or something. I don't know. It's got this firework in the back spring, and yeah, it's got these cool green jig bone. And I hit the pivot pin with a hammer because it had a lot of play when it was closed, which I didn't love. So I pounded the pivot with a hammer. Now that's going to hurt some of you because this is a collectible knife and all that, but generally speaking, things that are meant to be collected are never really worth that much money because everybody hangs on to them because they're meant to be collected. That's why all the old case knives made back in like the 30s and 40s, some of those are worth thousands of dollars. And all of your case trappers that you bought in the last 10 years are not worth anywhere close to that. Because the original case knives were meant to be used and your case trappers were meant to be collected. So, they're never going to be worth the same amount of money, pretty much. And that's just the way it works with things. Collectible things are pretty much always worth less in the long run than things that aren't collectible or aren't meant to be collectible. Because the things that aren't meant to be collectible don't stay around because people use them and throw them away and everything. So yeah. And then after I bought that, I wanted a less expensive but still well made Daddy Barlow. So I went on eBay and was looking around and I found this Remington Musket 1 Daddy Barlow. And I believe these were made by Camillus in the 90s. Well-made knife. Does have gaps. That's not the end of the world. These larger knives, they all seem to have some slight gaps because I think it's kind of hard to do this because you got a pin here and then you got your pivot pin and there's no other pins holding the liners and back springs together. So it's kind of hard not to have a gap here, I think. As long as there's no blade play, I don't really care. And this is a very solid knife. The saw cut Delrin looks pretty good. This is durable. You can drop it and everything, and it's not going to crack because it's Delrin instead of bone. I really like Remington stamped on the bolster instead of having, a shield. This is Remington. Although it does have this really cool musket and powder horn shield here, which looks really cool. I believe these are just epoxy or glued in, not pinned, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but I don't care really. All of Case's shields are glued in, and that doesn't really bother me. But this was, a pretty affordable, well-made Daddy Barlow. And you can still find these on eBay. I believe I spent about $50 on this. If you get lucky, you might find one for less than that. But it seems like a pretty well-made knife. And, it's not so expensive that you're afraid to carry it. And then next, I think I got this one next. Um, this is an old case, Daddy Barlow. I believe this one was made in 1976. And this one has, of course, been used quite a lot. It's got these Delrin covers here. The pins were falling out of it when I got it. So I just took the pins out of it and tried to glue them down with some super glue, which probably didn't work the best. But, I mean, it'll work for, just carrying the knife. So, blade's got a bunch of corrosion spots on it. I don't think there's really any pitting, though, so I did buy case paste, and I don't know why I didn't think about trying to polish off this blade and seeing what it looks like. Or I might just leave it like this because, it kind of looks nice, kind of looks cool like this. But yeah, I bought this basically because it seemed like most of the blade was there, and I think I got this for around $45 or $50 or something like that. If I would have known that the handle scales or covers were basically falling off of it, I probably would not have paid that much for it. But it's not a bad knife, and I have carried it, and it works fine. No huge chips out of the blade, and there's still plenty of blade left. Unlike a lot of these old knives where it looks like somebody sharpened it 1,000 times on a belt sander. So that's that one. And then, I'm not sure which one. I think it was this one next, but I'm not sure. This is another case, Daddy Barlow. This one is in this black jig bone, which looks really cool. I like it. I'm just going to call it like licorice jig bone because I really like black licorice. Cool case shield. I really like that shield. I wish they would use a shield like that now. I believe this knife was made in, 97, I think, if I got my dating right. And look, it's another one of these ones that's supposed to be collectible. It's one of 2,500. So since the other $24.99, since the other 2,499 of these are in some old men's collections, this one's gonna get all scratched up and everything, and it'll make your knife worth more. So you should be thanking me. But yeah, I just carry this knife like a normal knife. It's got some gaps here. Like I said, I think it's kind of hard not to have there be gaps on these big knives like this. Other than that, the blade does move back and forth a little bit, which is kind of annoying, but not the end of the world, I suppose. But, other than that, seems to be put together pretty well. Seems to be put together better than the Case Select, which is why I think it's funny that they make a big deal about it being a Case Select, because I don't understand. But anyway, I think this one is up there as one of my favorite Daddy Barlows. But I think there's one that I might like a little bit more. I just haven't really carried it yet. I think next I bought this one. Something like that. It was something in this order. This is another Rough Rider Daddy Barlow. These are just such cheap knives that when I see a pattern that I really like this in a Rough Rider, it's just like, yeah, I'll pick that up. This is the High Plains Barlow. I believe these lines are meant to be like topographical lines on a map. As you can see, the covers don't really match. I don't really care. The blade centering is pretty awful, honestly. The blade contacts the liner, but I got another one from them that was way worse, so I will take this one. It's still at least usable. No reverse frost etching on the blade, which is what I would prefer on a knife like this. You can see the scratches there from where it hits the liner. But yeah, still a usable knife. Pretty good looking, honestly. I think this side looks better than the other side. I don't know, I like the little bit lighter side better. But yeah, other than the blade centering, which is, arguably part of the most important part, the fit and finish on this knife is actually really good. If only they could have gotten the blade centering right. I don't know, this blade might actually be bent a little bit. I'm not sure. I just know that it's hitting the liner, and that kind of sucks, because other than that, it's a really, nice looking knife. And then the most recent purchase that I just showed off like a couple weeks ago is this Remington Musket 1 Daddy Barlow. But this one is in this jig bone. And I'm not going to get... Okay, there we go. And it looks absolutely beautiful. This jigging, I really wish that Great Eastern Cutlery would do jigging like this, because this is really good looking. And even like Case. I mean, Case usually does pretty good jigging, but I really like this jigging pattern. It looks really good. Once again, you get that musket shield there. And once again, I'm pretty sure it's just glued in. But it's a really cool shield. I much prefer this over just a regular shield that says, like, Case on it. Although I do like that Case shield. But yeah, really cool shield. The bolster still has Remington stamped on it, which I really like. Of course, it has the same Remington etch on the blade, same markings and everything. Like I said, I believe these were made by Camillus. This one was probably a higher, an upscale model of this one, maybe. Or maybe they were made 2 different years. I'm not sure. I do know that I think I paid less for the jig bone one, which is kind of funny. But I didn't know they made jig bone ones. Otherwise, I would have been hunting that one down from the start. Now, I haven't carried this knife yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this is probably going to become one of my favorite knives I own. And probably my favorite Daddy Barlow or Granddaddy Barlow. Just because of the way these covers look and everything. And it's just like the right width or like, thickness to feel really good in your hand. I do wish the blades on these were more substantial, more like the Case blades, more like thick like that. But, really nice looking knife. And, it seems to be put together really well. Once again. Let me show you the back spring here, because, yeah, there's a slight gap. I don't really care, like I said 2 times before. I think it's kind of hard not to have there be gaps on a knife like this. Anyway, if you're looking for a rather affordable, really, seemingly well-made one of these, you can find these Remington Musket 1 Daddy Barlows on eBay, for around $50 usually. If you're lucky, you might be able to find one for less. But I would say that they are well worth $50 in my opinion. Especially if you're just gonna, carry it and everything. Now, if you're a collector, I don't know if it's actually worth $50 or not. Because I don't know about the collectability of these. I imagine it would probably be worth the $50 because I can't imagine a knife this well made and that looks this good ever being worth less than $50. So, if you want to try out a Daddy Barlow, I think I would probably recommend trying out these Remington Daddy Barlows. Unless you have a lot less money, then you can try out a Rough Rider. But just be warned, these most recent run, because I got 2 now that had blades that were like way off center. So just be warned, you might get one that's way off center. You could always try to send it back. I usually don't worry about that. I just live with it. But yeah, I just figured I would do one more knife video before the end of the year. I've got an idea for a video that I'm pretty much going to film tomorrow, but that's just going to be like a hiking video, because I kind of have a little bit of a tradition going where I film a hiking video for like the end of the year. 2 years ago, I went up to Governor Dick Park and climbed that tower and saw nothing because it was foggy and raining. And last year, me and my friend were just walking around on the rocks out in the Susquehanna River. So I don't know what exactly I'm going to do this year, but I figure it'll probably just be a hiking video where I'll just hike and talk because I kind of like doing those and only like, 30 people will watch it, but that's fine. So anyway, you know, one of my favorite patterns, the Daddy Barlow or Granddaddy Barlow. Um, you know, I just really like it. Let me know what your favorite knife pattern is if you've made it this far in the video. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up before this drags on much longer. Hope you guys have a good day.